Here we are with our first capstone of Excel chapter 7. This one's called real estate, and it's based on some sales that have happened from certain agents in different cities. So we're going to use Excel to analyze their commissions and figure out if they need a bonus and stuff like that. So I'm already done step 1 because I have everything open. Step 2, notes here that the spreadsheet contains codes BADASA, which represent agent roles, either buyer's agent, dual agent, or seller's agent. So we want to switch the codes for the actual descriptions. So we're going to do that in cell E12. That's here. And we're going to use the switch function. Switch. And we're going to evaluate the agent code in D12. So that is this guy here. And we're going to reference them versus here to get the right code to come out. So the first thing we need to do is pick the cell that we're comparing things to. So we're looking to find this DA and referencing it up to this area. So I'm going to pick D12. So the first thing we do is value 1 is, okay, if it's this one, then we do this. If it's this one, we do this, then we do this. It's kind of what we're going through. So we're going to pick our BA, which would then return that, and then comma, this would return that, and then this would return that. So I won't worry about my references yet. Let's just make sure this worked. Okay, so DA pulled out a dual agency. So I know that I'm going to fill this down eventually, so I need to lock the rows on everything except this reference here. So I'm just going to type in $ all the way down this formula here. Okay, perfect. So the last thing we're supposed to do is copy it down. So I'm going to do that, and we'll make sure it works. All right, so SA seller's agent, BA buyer's agent, looks like it worked. Okay, so that's the switch formula, our first experience with that. Next, we want to calculate the number of days between the list date and the sale date. So in J12, so that's over here, we're going to insert the days function. Okay, days, and we want the days between the listing date and the sale date. So sale date would be our end date, and start date would be our listing date. And we'll finish that up, and we get a nice 76. And then we're copying that function all the way down, so that one's not too tough. Okay, next one. So that's it for step 3. We'll move on to step 4. We want to calculate the agent's commission based on their role. So in K12, we're going to start our formula. So we're going to use the if function again, IFS, and we're going to determine what to do. So it's based on their role. So the role is here, and we're going to try and see if D12, well, if it's BA, then it's that. If it's DA, then it's that. If it's SA, then it's that. So we're going to do our logical test, and ifs runs through each of these until it finds the true one, and then it returns the true answer. So if D12 is equal to BA, and I know I'm going to fill down, so I'm going to lock my row on that. Then we want to do, so we're actually doing the commission, not trying to just find the rate. So if we're finding the commission, it would be the sold price, which we're good with a relative reference because it'll move down, multiplied by our commission rate. And we know we need to lock our row there because it'll move down the page. Okay, so the next one, well, if this is equals DA, lock the row, then we want to do this rate, lock the row, multiplied by the sold price. And then lastly, if this equals SA, lock the row, we want to do the sold price multiplied by this commission rate. And again, lock the row using a mixed reference. All right, so we'll see if that worked. 38,775. So I think that looks right based on what I know about this formula. So we're done with step 4. So the next one we want to do is, so it tells us you want to calculate a bonus if the sold price was at least equal to listing price and if the house sold within 30 days after being listed. So to do that, we need to do an if function with a nested and, because we need the and because we have 2 conditions to apply within this if statement. So I'm going to do if with an and we'll start building our formula. So, so the both conditions, so the and function should ensure both conditions are met. First, sold price divided by listing price is greater than or equal to 100%. Okay, so sold price divided by listing price is greater than or equal to 100%. So you can either type in 100% or that, but I think, yeah, we have a condition here. It tells us that we're supposed to use L7, so that's right here. So we can just do that. Again, I'm going to lock my row so that doesn't move because I'm referring outside of my data table. So that's our first condition. Our second condition is days on market or are less than or equal to 30. All right, so days on market is here, are less than or equal to 30 because we're supposed to use cell L9. I'm going to lock L9's row so it doesn't go off page. And those are our 2 conditions there. So if I close my parentheses, my and is done, and now I hit my comma so I move into the value if it's true. So if both conditions are met, the bonus is $1,000. Okay, so it tells us we have the bonus amount here in L9. So I'm going to pick that. I'm going to $sign my row so that doesn't move. And otherwise, the bonus is 0. So value of false is 0. And then lastly, we need to copy our formula down. So this person didn't get a bonus because days on market is greater than 30. So we know that's not going to work. So that's fine. Fill this down. Okay. And I think we missed filling down this agent commission, which we should do here. There we go. All right, so we're done with step 5. Step 6, the top left section of the spreadsheet is designed for summary statistics for one condition. You will calculate average selling prices and the number of houses sold in each city, and each city becomes the condition. So the top left. So we're talking about this area here. So in B2, insert average if. Okay, B2 average if. And to calculate the average sold price for houses in the city of Alpine. Okay, so if the first range we have to choose is the one where our criteria is found. Our criteria is Alpine, which is the location, which is our city. So I'm going to pick our city here. And then I'm going to pick what we're looking for. Well, what are we looking for? We're looking for Alpine in there. And then we're going to average the sold price. So sold price is here. Okay. I'll worry about my mixed references in a second. So I know I'm going to drag this down so it picks up the new city. So I know my A2 is cool to move. That's fine. But I don't want this to move and I don't want this to move. So I'm going to lock my rows in each of those. So let me do that. Okay, so I've got 601,386. Cool, cool. So it says copy the function and use paste formulas option to paste the function in B3 to 5. Okay, so we're not going to use our fill down dragging here. We're going to use copy and paste special. So I'm going to copy it, highlight my area where I want it to go. So there's a couple of ways to paste special. One, you can right click and click paste special. Another one is you can go to your home area and use the paste and hit the down arrow and paste special. All these icons will let you do these things. However, it doesn't say. So here's formulas, but you wouldn't know that unless you hover over. So I can just go paste special here, choose formulas. Works the same as filling down. However, it doesn't pick up all the format stuff. So once we hit OK, we'll see how this works. So it looks like it worked fine. So if I'll hit escape to get rid of my highlight there. If I just filled down, this border here would have got wiped out because this cell didn't have a border. So by using that paste and pasting only the formulas, it kept my borders there. So that's kind of the point of doing that. So now we're good. So it says even in the instruction, use the paste option to paste the function in the range B3 to B5. So the bottom border in B5 is preserved. So that's what we did by doing that. So that's it for step 6. Over the page. Step 7, we want to count the number of houses in one city. So in C2, we're going to use the count if function. Okay, count if. And we're going to count the number of houses in the city of Alpine. And we're supposed to use mixed references again. Okay, and then use a relative reference to A2. So we're going to count the number in the city. So it's going to be based on here. And we need it to find Alpine in there. Again, I'm going to lock my rows to use a mixed reference. Again, my preference, the easiest way is just to use absolute, but we're instructed to use mixed, so I'm doing what I'm told here. So I'll hit enter there. 7 houses. Then we're supposed to copy the function and paste formulas so that our C5 border is retained. Okay, so it's the same thing we did last time, Control C. This time I'm going to right click, paste special, formulas, okay. And there we go, 7966. There we go. So that's it for step 7. Step 8, we want to calculate the total commissions for each agent. Okay, so in cell B7, so down here, we're going to use the sum if function, which I don't think we've used before. So we're supposed to use mixed references for the ranges and a relative reference to cell A7, so the agent name, and then do the copy and paste the formulas down. Okay, so equals sum if, works the same count if and average if. So first thing is the range where the criteria is. So we're trying to find the people's names. That would be in the selling agent area. That's good. I'll use my F4s to stick my rows. Then we're trying to find Carrie in this case, so I'll pick Carrie. And then we're supposed to sum their total commissions. So I'm going to pull the commissions column there. And then I'm going to use my F4 to lock my rows. Okay, so that should work there. Hit enter, 204922, cool, cool. Copy that, highlight where I want to paste it, paste special, formulas, okay. Whoop, didn't work. Don't know why that happened. I'll hit undo and try again. So copy that formula, paste special, oh, I hit formats instead of formulas, that's why. Boom, there we go, and that looks good. So now we are done step 8. Step 9, the top middle section of the spreadsheet is designed for summary statistics for multiple conditions. Okay, so you'll calculate the number of houses sold for each agent when he or she served as a dual agent. Okay, so use mixed references for ranges, agent code, and the condition from cell J3. So that's this one, DA. Use relative references for the agent condition in E2, so the agent name. When you copy the formulas, use the paste formulas thing to do that. Okay, so let's get into that. So in cell F2, we're going to do count ifs. So let's do count ifs here. Count ifs. So we put the S on because we have multiple criteria. So let's do our criteria here. So we're going to pick up how many sales there were, the total number sold. So we're going to we have to pick the criteria range. So we'll do our first criteria. We'll pick the name. Okay, so we've got that. I'll mixed reference to select the row. That's good. And then we're trying to find it where that person's name shows up. So again, our formula is overrided over top of that. But if I click down here and use my up arrow, I can make sure I'm picking E2, which is where that person's name is. So that's good. So there, we're good for that. Now we have to find where the agent type is DA. So I'm going to choose my range with the type, lock my row using my F4 key, and then I need to find DA there. So DA, I'm going to use a mixed reference so it doesn't slide down. So again, lock the row only. Do that, I get 3, and then we're supposed to copy and paste our formulas down. Paste special, formulas. Okay, so 3, 5, and 5. Cool. So that's it for the first one in step 9. Step 10, so we're trying to do the total, calculate total value of the homes for each agent when he or she served as a dual agent. Okay, so that's here. So in G2, we're going to do the sum ifs. Sum ifs. So the first thing in sum ifs is the sum range. So where are we actually getting our total from? So total sold prices, so that's going to be this one. And again, we're always told mixed references here, so I'm going to be good and lock the rows. And now we move into criteria. So first one is the selling agent is this person, so I have to pick my selling agent range here. Lock rows. Make sure it's carry, so that's my criteria. Next criteria range 2, agent type. So I need that range. Lock rows, and then make sure it's DA. So that's here. And I'm going to lock the row on that one as well. So that should now work. Yeah, 1.343 million. And then we're supposed to copy, paste special, the formulas. You can also do it if you find this icon in your right-click menu. And that worked. If you ever have something copied and you don't want to have it copied anymore, so you can see how mine's shining there, hit escape and it goes away. So that's it for step 10. Step 11, now we're going to calculate the highest house price sold for each agent when he or she served as a dual agent. Okay, so the rest of that paragraph and the instructions is basically the same. So now we're going to use max ifs in this one. So insert max ifs in H2. Display the highest house price sold by the first agent, E2, who was a dual agent for that house, and then copy it down. Okay, so we're doing the same thing as before. So max, we're trying to find highest house price, so that would be trying to find the maximum in this column. Lock the row. Next, criteria range. So first criteria is based on when they were the selling agent here. Lock row. Carry. Next one, when they were dual agents, so pick this. Cool. And then we got to find the DA, so I'll click up here and then DA will show up and lock the row on that. All right, so this person's max price was $643,000. Copy, paste our formulas, and there we go. So that's it for step 11. So now we've introduced ourselves to max ifs. Okay, next one, we're getting back to mapping again. So the map worksheet contains a list of cities, postal codes, and average house sales. You'll insert a map chart to depict the averages visually using the default gradient fill colors. So first, display the map worksheet, okay, and select B1 to C5. Okay, so B1 to C5 is just this, and insert a map chart. Okay, insert maps and choose that one. All right, so it looks like the postal code is within this state. I don't know which state this is, but it's a square looking one. Anyway, so that's it for step 12. Next, cut the map chart and paste it in A7. Okay, so cut, paste A7. Set the height to 2.31 and width to 3.62. Okay, so we're going to go to our chart tools format. So we want 2.31 and 3.62. Okay, so that's cool. So that's it for step 13. Step 14, we want a meaningful title. So let's click on that. We're supposed to change it to average selling price by zip code. Whoop, don't hit enter. That messes up. Okay. And then in step 15, we're going to display the format data series task pane and select the option display only regions with data. Okay, so let's do that first. So I'm going to double click on our chart and pull this up. Map area, only regions with data. Okay, the other thing we want to do is show all labels. Okay, so map labels, we want to show all. Okay, and then close the task pane. Okay, so now we have our zip codes, and each zip code is labeled with the number format for that zip code. So that's good there. All right, over the page. So step 16, we're going to get into some new stuff. We're going to go and complete a loan amortization table. So display the loan worksheet, which is here. In cell B8, that will be here. Type a reference to formula B1. Okay, so equals B1. Good. So this is the balance before the first payment is identical to the loan amount. Okay, well, that makes sense. Do not type the value, use the cell reference instead. Okay, so we did that. In cell B9, so B9 is underneath, subtract the principal from the beginning balance on the previous row. So what that means is take this beginning balance and subtract the principal from the row. Yes, we haven't put anything in there yet, but we're just setting up our table. So do that, hit enter, and then we're supposed to copy this down to number 12. Okay, so that's it for step 16. Step 17, we're going to calculate interest for the first payment. So in cell C8, we're going to use the I payment function, so IPMT. So what this figures out is of your total payments that you're making, so up here they're making $1,526. How much is the interest portion? And then in the next column over, when we start working in D, we're going to find out how much is the principal portion. So we can start filling out this formula, and it spells out underneath exactly what we need to do. So these are monthly payments. So just like the payment formula that we used in Excel 1, we need to make sure everything's on the same status, essentially. So is everything that we put in monthly, is everything that we put in yearly? So we want monthly payments here. So our rate, we get our monthly rate here. That's the one that we want. We will also need to, as we fill our formula down, we don't want that to move. I'm just going to use an absolute reference there and use that. Okay. Next thing, this is not number of periods, which we're used to. This is period. So which period number we're in? Okay, well, we're in payment number 1. So I'm going to choose that. I'm going to use a relative reference there because I want that to move down the page. Hit a column or a comma. Next is how many total periods are there? Well, that's given here. It's 360. And use an absolute reference there to lock that in. The next one is our present value. So that's the loan value. I'm going to put a negative in front of there right now instead of having to, and that will prevent me from getting that negative result. Again, you can put that in front of the I payment between the equals, but this works just as well. And I'm going to lock that because that sticks there. Future value is going to be 0. Whoop. And I got away without putting in the type, but I'm going to be thorough and put in my end of period. Hit enter and I get the 1,125, which looks right to me. Now we're supposed to copy that function down to the rest of the column. Okay, so that's it for step 17. Step 18, now we're going to calculate the principal paid. D8, use the P payment function. So P for principal, PPMT. And we fill it out exactly the same as the last one. So monthly rate, absolute reference, period number, that one, number of periods in total, absolute reference, present value, that, absolute reference, going to put a negative in front, and then future value is 0 and end of period. Hit enter, get 395, and then fill that down. Okay, so you can see how our balance of our loan is decreasing over time based on how much principal we're paying. So we're good with step 18 now. Next one, rows 21 to 23 contains a summary section for cumulative totals after the first year. So in B22, so that's here, we're going to try and figure out the total interest paid over that entire year. So we're going to use the cumulative I payment function. So CUMI PMT. And we have to start filling out the info like we did for the original I payment, but we've got some things that are a little different. So first we'll do our rate. So monthly rate, absolute reference, number of periods right there, absolute, present value there, absolute. I'm going to put it as negative as well. Now, if you're doing the cumulative one, you have to tell it where to start and where to end. So we want it to start at payment number 1 and end at payment number 12. So it's going to find out all the interest paid from that payment to the end payment inclusive. So it's going to include 1 and 12. So I'll hit my comma, then you have to tell it end of period or beginning, end, comma. Oh, it goofed on me. It goofed on me. Let's see what happened. I think it goofs maybe because I have my negative here. Let's see. Maybe I'll put my negative in front of there. Aha! It worked. Okay, so don't put your negative in there in this one. Apparently it gets fussed. So there we go. We're done step 19. Step 20 is basically do the same thing but for principal. So do the cumulative prince formula. So again, rate, absolute reference, number of periods, absolute reference, present value, absolute reference. Again, we're not dragging this one, so it's not as important. And then we need start period, end period, 0. And I'm going to remember to put my negative at the front here and hit enter. So my principal paid was $48.39.68. We are now done step 20. So rows 25 to 28 contain a section for what if analysis. So let's go down there. So it says, what if the goal is a $1,400 monthly payment? So we're going to try and figure out, okay, well, what rate would we need to charge someone to make that the payment that's required? So here we're going to use the rate formula, R-A-T-E. And we have to put in all our data again. So the first thing we need to do is get our number of periods. Well, the number of periods will be the same. We need to get our payment. Well, our payment we're told is we're testing out for 1,400, so I'll put that in. Present value is going to be the same, 300,000. Future value, 0. And end of period, whoops. And you don't need to put in this guess one, so I'm going to ignore it. So this will blow up as it is because we need our negative in there. So we get a num error. So what you need to do is put in the present value negative, I believe, and it should work. There we go. So in this one, make sure your negative is on the present value to make it work properly. So now we have our monthly rate. So if you want to have it work out that the payment required for this $300,000 loan is $1,400 a month, you need to charge 0.32% per month. So in step 22, we're going to figure out what that is by in an APR. So APR stands for annual percentage rate. So all you do is you multiply our monthly by 12. All right, so our APR would need to be 3.81 to get a $1,400 payment, whereas this rate was 4.5 on an APR basis, so quite a bit less. So that's it for 22. 23, we're creating our footer, same footer as always on all worksheets, so I'm going to highlight all of them. Page setup, boom, whoop, footer, sheet code, file code, boom, boom. And there we go, we're done. So we did a bunch of if stuff, we did the map thing, and then we got into our financial functions here. So a lot of stuff. So I hope that went well for you guys.